Hi, hello everyone. Okay. So, in brief, what I'm going to say comes from my background as an option trader. So, I was a derivatives trader until I retired and then started doing research. My specialty as an option trader was about volatility, products that gain from volatility. And I noticed one thing is that there must be nonlinearity. In other words, you have a package when the market goes down 1%. The fragile, okay, say it loses a million for 1%, but the market goes down 10%, you don't lose 10 million, but a lot more. And then I realized that this can be generalized to anything that's fragile. Like if I jump 10 meters, it's vastly worse than jumping 10 times 1 meter. So once you have an idea of how to map fragility in terms of nonlinearity, and then also you can generalize, has to have a concave function, does not like stochasticity, does not like variability, does not like shocks. Once you map fragility, you realize that now you can map the opposite of fragility, which is anti-fragility. Okay, thing that within a range, benefit from disorder, benefit from randomness, benefit from shocks, and must be locally nonlinear. In other words, convex, which is the opposite of fragile. In the mind of people before, the opposite fragile was uh, robust or resilient or something like that. In other words, something that doesn't break from shocks or uncertain. It turns out that no, the opposite of fragile is something we can call anti-fragile, just like the opposite of concave is not linear, but we can call convex. So based on that, start realizing that a lot of things tend to gain from disorder, but there's something vastly like my body needs some kind of disorder, otherwise it doesn't function properly. Because I don't generalize for complex system because I don't understand them very well, but my inkling is that everything communicates via stressors to one another, upregulation via stressors. Okay, so once you figure out, then you realize that there's some things that are phylostochastic, like volatility, like things that they need volatility, otherwise they can't function. And we don't realize that they need volatility. We try to stabilize things. My body needs some kind of thermal variation, otherwise, it's bad for me. To be at 70 degrees, 24 hour, 24/7. My body likes shocks. My body likes variability. And when I wrote anti-fragile, there was a metric that didn't exist at the time, that was not understood by cardiologists. If you ask a cardiologist, what does a steady heartbeat predict? They say health, and then later on we discovered it predicts death. And now my Apple Watch has a heart rate variability metric. Okay, likewise, this can be applied to political systems. In Black Swan, I quizzed people in Washington as I was writing it, but I really, in the Black Swan, I give them two countries. The first country had a very stable government for 40 some years. The other country had 40 governments over the same periods. Which one is more stable? Everybody said the first country. It turns out the first country, if you want to know, was Syria. And the second country was Italy. And last time I checked, Italy was still standing, all right? So so we can generalize the political system, and we know from finance that the best predictor of a collapse of a hedge fund is steady returns. You can generalize, but we don't have the greatest, the cleanest statistical interpretation, because there are a lot of things that mess with the data, but we think that the best predictor of a collapse of a company is steady cash flow. So just like steady heart rate is, because you have conditional on having a good performance overall, you need variability because of two reasons. One, variability is a test. In other words, it didn't break you. And the second thing is variability teaches you as a teacher. In other words, it forces you to upregulate some things, just like the shocks, you know,
30 seconds
help
remaining.
your system. So I think I pretty much have presented in 5 minutes what I could present, summarize of all this work on, and then we actually published something in foreign affairs on how we should use the exact opposite than the metrics conventionally used to measure the risk of countries, namely variability is good is a sign conditional on doing well. You need political turmoil, variability, noise, conflicts, a lot of things. Okay, they're a sign of health rather than a sign of disease. So thank you very
Thank you.
much and have an excellent day.